Hello, I'm Harry from TV. I'm a hook, you're gonna have to. And tonight, we're going to be reacting to the top 13 scary and creepypastas Halloween special. Now, yes, I am aware. Now, yes, I am aware that it's not Halloween, but but I figured since this is a Hoodlum's Revenge video, I'm gonna react to it because I love Hoodlum's Revenge, or Hoodlum for short. He makes really good videos and really good creepypasta reads, and you should definitely check him out. So without further ado, the original link in the description. Make sure you go subscribe to Hoodlum, and without further ado, let's begin. Also, just a quick little disclaimer, I am sorry that I didn't react to a video last night, but I was just so tired and so unmotivated, but I thought instead of doing the video at night, like this time I would just do it early, but with a dark atmosphere. So without further ado, let's begin! I wonder what that music is called.
Today's Halloween, and I'm going to celebrate that by staying indoors and editing videos. Oh, and making a top 13 list too, of course. And what better way to get us started than to dive into some creepypasta? Because creepypastas are scary, right? So let's begin. Turn your lights down and your volume up, because tonight we're counting down the top 13 scariest creepypastas.
This is a smile dog.
Marina Mordegard Glassgore.
Oh no, not this one.
Marina Mordegard Glassgore tells the story of a video that was posted on YouTube but was taken down very quickly. Only 153 people, including one YouTube staff member, saw the video. If you search for the video, you will most likely find nothing. The few times you will see a 20-second video of a man staring at you expressionless for 18 seconds, and then grinning for the last 2 seconds.
I don't like that smile.
This is actually not the full video. The full video that 153 people saw made them gouge out their eyes, cut themselves, and commit suicide in various ways. The one staff member that saw the video started screaming after about 45 seconds and is now under constant sedation, unable to recall what he saw.
What?
YouTube will periodically upload the first 20 seconds to close off any rumors. They do not want you to find the entire video.
Total side... I can't look at that smile, that is horrible. Total side note, when I first watched the Marina Mordegard Glassgore video,
Normal porn for
I
normal
actually felt sick after watching it, so that makes it even
people.
creepier.
Things are gonna go bad.
It wasn't even that gory
The
or
story
anything.
starts with the author telling us about an email he received by an unknown person. The email read, "Hi there. Found this site. It's very nice. Thought you might like. Normal porn for normalpeople.com. Pass it on for the good of mankind." The author became curious and went on the site. The site itself looked very average and very generic. The creators seemed to just barely care about making it look professional. The tagline for the website said, "Normal porn for normal people, a website dedicated to the eradication of abnormal sexuality."
Ugh.
The rest of the site was a
You
long
mean
incoherent
bestiality?
The author was about to quit, when suddenly he saw that each word in the rant was its own separate link that took you to a different video. I will not go into much detail about what these videos were about. You should read them yourself because it's Halloween. But believe me when I say this, they are truly, truly disturbing. Username 666.
Well, this is a classic.
This is what happens if the devil would make a YouTube account.
Oh.
If you go to youtube.com/666 and refresh the page a number of times, this is what supposedly happens. Oh, come on, man, don't do it. Don't do it, there's still time. Exit while you can.
Oh no. Oh. I don't like the sound.
Yeah, that's pretty damn terrifying. I'm gonna get so much hate for this. Jeff the Killer. Wait, what? Jeff on 10th place? Are you shitting me? I'm gonna fucking... Whoa, calm down. Before you fans of Jeff get mad at me, let me explain myself. Other than the pretty badass and interesting design and pretty original idea, I'm focusing on the original Jeff the Killer story, which, people, isn't really what I would call flawless. I mean, there are so many things that take me out of the experience completely. First of all, Jeff's supposedly a kid in this story. How would a kid be able to murder so many people?
Side note.
Secondly,
Go watch the Morgue
did the bullies
Files
get
version of
fucking
Jeff
guns?
King. Oh,
Thirdly,
that Jeff's pretty
when
bloody
has bullying
ruthless.
ever gotten so far that the bullies threaten everyone with fucking guns and try to murder the victim? Fourthly, why didn't Jeff go to juvenile when his brother confessed it wasn't him? Fifthly, why did Jeff kill all of his family members? I understand why he killed his parents, but why his brother too? Wasn't he trying to defend his brother when he beat up those bullies at the beginning? Now, despite all of that, the idea of a guy looking like this sneaking into your room at night and whispering, "Go to sleep," is pretty scary. Just imagine turning over and seeing that face by your bed. Despite the origin story being very flawed, Jeff is still a very scary creepypasta and more than well deserves a spot on this list.
Go watch the Morgue Files take on Jeff. Hashtag David Neer making a great version of Jeff the Killer.
Dead Bart. Dead Bart was a lost episode of The Simpsons and was going to appear in the first season of the show. It was apparently written entirely by Matt Groening. During production of the first season, Matt seemed to act strangely. Mentioning this to anyone who was present at the time will make them very angry. When the author of the story met Matt at a fan event and asked about the episode, Matt seemed to be at the verge of tears. He handed over a piece of paper to the author and left. The piece of paper contained a web address. The web address contained nothing but a download link. When the author downloaded and opened the file, the computer went crazy and had to be rebooted. Finally, when the author got the computer working again, he watched the episode. It started out with the family going on a plane trip. But while in the air, Bart accidentally breaks one of the plane windows and is sucked out.
Oh.
Act 1 ends with a shot of Bart's dead corpse. The
Damn,
was barely
dude.
recognizable and almost photorealistic. And so Act 1 ended. Act 2 started with the family, except for Bart and Maggie, sitting at the table, crying. The crying went on and on, becoming more pained and more realistic. You could also hear murmuring in the background, and now and then faces
I don't
appeared,
like those sounds.
looking in from the window. But they appeared so fast, you could never make out what they looked like. The animation decayed until the family members looked like shadows with random bright colors thrown on them. The crying went on for the entire act. In Act 3, a title card appeared, stating 1 year had passed. The family appeared bone
Creepy.
thin, and there were no signs of Maggie or the pets. They decided to go and visit Bart's grave. Springfield was entirely deserted. When they got to Bart's grave, Bart was just lying there, on the dirt. Then Homer said a joke, but due to distortion you cannot hear what he says. The view zoomed out, and the tombstones in the background had the same names of every single Simpson guest star on them. For guests who died since, like Michael Jackson, the dates were correct. But there was something odd about the graves of guest stars who were still alive. All of their deaths are listed at the same date. The episode ends.
Well, some people have said the Simpsons can predict the future.
Smile Dog.
Oh, this...
Smile Dog is a picture circulating the internet. It is said to bring nightmares and insanity to those who save it on their computer.
Smile Dog was one of the first
Receive it
creepypastas
as
I
an
ever
email.
looked at.
If
It
you
still
receive an
gives me
email with the
chills.
Smile Dog, it is important to spread the word in order for the curse to end. If you do not spread the word, the image will gradually get worse
Ugh.
and worse. Some say the entire thing started with a picture of the devil.
I think it could be Gnolgo. Hands up if you think Smile Dog is Gnolgo.
Candle Cove. What if a show you watched when you were a little kid was actually darker and more disturbing than you remember? That is the case with Candle Cove. Starting out as a thread where people discussed old nostalgic television shows, one show came up that sparked some interest. Candle Cove. At first, the forum users innocently discussed the show.
I don't like the
Its
screaming
charm,
sound.
its controversial villain
They're
named
evil.
the Skin Taker, a skeleton who skinned children, and much more. But the more these people dig in their memories,
Where did
the
you...
more they remember.
I don't know where that screaming video came from, but I want to know who created it, because it looks so professional.
Could be something far more sinister.
I want to know who made that screaming episode, because it looks so professional.
SuicideMouse.avi.
Oh no, not this one, not
There
this
apparently
one.
exists an unreleased Mickey Mouse cartoon made by Walt Disney himself in the 1930s.
I hate
Why it
Suicide
hasn't
Mouse,
been
it
released
turns me so
is
much.
due to strange happenings. Up until a year or two ago, everyone believed that the cartoon was nothing but a looping animation of Mickey walking down a road with 6 buildings for 3 minutes before fading out. The music sounded creepy and disturbing, like as if someone was just banging on a piano. It was not your regular, jolly Mickey Mouse music, but people believed that was all. But recently, while reviewing the cartoon for DVD, something seemed odd. The cartoon was actually 9 minutes and 4 seconds long. After cutting to black, 6 minutes in, Mickey came back on screen, walking. And I'll let the video speak for itself.
No, don't. Oh no. I can't listen to the scream. I've seen the Suicide Mouse video before, it's freaking terrifying. I really don't like this. I don't know what, I want to know where those screams came from. Like, I really don't like those. Someone... I don't like this. Wait, who are those people in the background?
In
That's
the
a
end,
creepy sound.
a close-up of Mickey's face is shown, possibly to signify the end of the episode.
That was really disturbing. I don't like Suicide Mouse.
Gateway of the Mind. In 1983, a team of scientists conducted a radical experiment in an undisclosed facility. The scientists had theorized that a human without access to any senses or ways to perceive stimuli would be able to perceive the presence of God. The only test subject to volunteer was an elderly man who claimed to have nothing left to live for. They performed a complex operation on the man, removing all of his senses. He could not see, hear, taste, smell, or feel. After a few days, the man cried that he could hear his dead wife speaking to him, and even more, he could communicate back. The scientists were not fully convinced until the man started to name dead relatives of the scientists. Soon enough, the man became distressed and insane. For at every conscious moment, he could hear hundreds of voices speaking to him, refusing to leave him alone. Only a day later, the man started to claw at his non-functional eyes, hoping to feel something. He claimed the voices were hostile, speaking of hell and the end of the world. He begged to be killed, but the scientists were convinced that he was close to establishing contact with God. A day later, the man seemed mad and started to bite off chunks of flesh from his own arm. The scientists rushed in and restrained him to a table so he could not kill himself. After hours of being tied down, the man halted his struggling and screaming. The man cried non-stop for 2 weeks and had to be manually rehydrated due to the constant crying. Eventually, he turned his head and, despite his apparent blindness, focused his eyes on one of the scientists and spoke his final words.
I have spoken to God, and he has abandoned us.
The man then died. There was no apparent cause of death. Slender Man. Of course, which top creepypasta list wouldn't be complete without the infamous Slender Man? I'm not gonna spend much time on this guy, because you all know who he is, and you all know what he does. And if not, you can check out my other video entitled, Is Slender Man Real? Here on my channel. Enjoy.
What?
The Rake. Why did I rank the Rake higher than Slenderman, you may ask? Well, look at that fucking design! That's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen! The first time I saw this picture, I could not get it out of my head. It's so inhuman, so detailed, and so disgusting.
Ugh.
And also, the thought of a human, dog-like creature with sharp claws sneaking into your room at night and mauling you is, in my opinion, a lot scarier than some buzz from a tall white guy. Here's a summary of one of the most well-known stories about the Rake. A woman woke up and noticed how her husband was lying perfectly still next to her. When she asked him what was wrong, he tucked into the fetal position and stared at the side of the bed. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from them, there was what appeared to be a naked man, or a large hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. The creature crawled over to the husband, until it was less than a foot away from his face. The creature was completely silent for 5 seconds, until it dashed off into the hallway, to the kids' room. When the woman got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. It turned around and looked directly at her, covered in blood. It had murdered the woman's daughter. It then dashed off, down the stairs. The full story can be found very easily. Just Google it. But be aware, it's very scary. But it's Halloween, so it's okay.
They knew he was called the Rake. I think about it now, but it's more like a dream. But I know it was real. I know that he was real. And I know that I will see him again.
Where did we get that footage? I saw the Rake in my back garden.
The Russian sleep experiment.
It wasn't
During the late 1940s, Russian researchers kept 5 people awake for 15 days by exposing them to an experimental gas. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake, so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. After 5 days, the men started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering into the microphones. After some days, one of the captives started screaming for 3 hours straight until he supposedly ripped out his own vocal cords. The other captives did not react to this at all and kept on whispering. Suddenly, the screaming and whispering stopped abruptly. After 3 more days, the researchers checked to see if the microphones were working, since there was nothing but silence in the room. The microphones were working perfectly fine. The researchers used the intercom and announced, "We are opening the chambers to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom." To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice respond,
We no longer want to be freed.
The researchers filled the room with fresh air and the captives immediately begged for the gas to be turned on again.
Side note, I am
The
looking
researchers
forward
entered
to
the room.
seeing John
noticed
Briggs
something truly
Russian Sleep
terrifying.
Experiment
The
remaster.
captives had been removing their own flesh, eating it, and exposing their inner organs. They put up a fierce fight while being captured, and one of the subjects died fighting. He kept screaming for more.
And more and more gas.
The remaining captives were taken to a medical facility. There, as the commander ordered the captives to be sent back into the chamber, along with 3 researchers. One of the 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander and one of the captives as everyone else fled the room. The researcher stated, "I won't be locked in there with these things. Not with you. What are you?" he demanded. "I must know." The subject smiled.
Have you forgotten so easily?
The subject asked.
We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal
That deep
mind.
voice reminds me of
We are
Thanos.
what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread.
The subject was then shot dead, and as the subject died, he uttered out his final words.
So nearly free.
Quick work suicide. Oh wow, oh man, this one. Oh no. Since it is Halloween, I think it will be more than fitting to read one of the scariest stories that I have ever read. On this fateful night, I have chosen this story because it holds nostalgic value to me. It was the first creepypasta I ever read. Oh crap. I'm a slow reader. Oh, it's over already? It's raining outside at the moment. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed that. That was really good and really creepy. I couldn't stand that screaming in the Suicide Mouse entry though. I remember when I first saw the Suicide Mouse video, and I think those screams might have scarred me for life when I first saw that. Well, not scarred me for life, but you know, it did scare me a little. But that's all I have for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. Make sure you go subscribe to Hoodlum Revenge. Give a thumbs up, leave your thoughts in the comments, tell me what you thought. And I will see you the next night. I'm Harry for TV. Remember, you don't have to.